So, the world is changing. Consumers are demanding more new experiences, and that means the world for Visa, the payment world, is changing as well. And Visa Europe Collab was set up 6 months ago, as Chris says, to work with a fintech community in Europe and also across the globe and other partners to create concepts for new ways of payment that potentially could be taken into the wider Visa organization for incubation and then full-scale commercialization. Now, that's the world of payments, that's the world of tech. But what you might not know is that the world of fashion is also changing. And I don't mean the clothes. Fashion typically rotates on a 6-month cycle. Fashion shows are every 6 months. So from the 18th to 22nd of September, so it's just gone, we had London Fashion Week. Now, the interesting thing about London Fashion Week for this year is it's actually called Spring Summer 16. So actually, the clothes that are on display, a consumer won't be able to purchase those until the spring and summer of 2016. So there's no immediacy. So that's the way the fashion world has worked. But nowadays, consumers want product now. So Henry Holland, who is a very innovative young British designer, has been thinking around this problem, how to be able to create immediacy on the catwalk. So about 4 to 5 months ago, Visa Europe Collab was introduced to Henry Holland because Henry wanted his VIPs to be able to purchase items directly from the catwalk and then have those bagged while they were coming backstage and then walk out with them. So, as a technical architect in Collab, I was given this problem to solve, and it was a little bit of head scratching. But as any architect, architecture always starts with context. So let me tell you about the context. And this will contain some spoilers for what the solution is. So, whoops, we got that, haven't we?
Expectations are very high tonight, but you know, Henry always delivers. Fashion inherently is always about the future. And so it's a really nice fit for technology to sit alongside that, because technology also is inherently futuristic. Tech and fashion, they should be in bed together all the time. It's great.
It's a little bit like music, where it goes to radio and you can instantly buy it now. Fashion's moving in the same way.
It was really, really clever and an amazing way to kind of incorporate technology, the fashion and the shopping experience. I actually bought something from the catwalk and now I can take it home, which is insane.
And if you don't know Henry Holland, that was him at the end. So, context is key. So you've already seen the solution, but let me explain the thinking behind it. So, that scene there, what was it? It was buzzing, it was edgy, it's dynamic. Whoops, Daisy. Excuse me. Excuse me. That's our verb. Let me just kill that. Okay. We've got a whole bunch of YouTube videos out there now. It's the first for Visa actually putting things on YouTube. So that scene that you just saw there, if you describe it, dynamic, edgy, buzzing, fast moving, needs to look good, needs to look cool. Okay, so, if I was one way of taking payments on the catwalk is really simple. The celebs pull out their card, there's a mobile point of sale device, terminal, and they just put their card in there and that looks cool. Or I could actually put one of those Tesco machines in there and have Daisy Lowe or Alexa Chung go listen to item in bagging area. Doesn't quite cut it for that kind of environment. So context is everything. In fact, it's about that classic design principle, form versus function. That was the thing I focused on after seeing the classic design poster in Henry's studio, which says, form follows F star star function and so on. It's the same one in Johnny Ive's studio. So we started thinking, well, what does this payment experience look like? Because actually what Henry is asking us to do is open up for one night only a new retail channel on the catwalk where he can actually sell his products and they can be taken home, just as you've seen the celebs do that. So we worked with Henry and we said, okay, well, we can't really use a card. We're going to do this. We're going to create a ring like that. So the question was, okay, who can I get to create a ring? So we managed to source a company in Bradford who have a high-end manufacturing jewellery shop in Cumbria. That ring contains, you won't believe it, underneath that an NFC tag that has a unique identifier. We would have liked to have put actually an EMV chip into that, same as you have in your credit card, but that technology when we started this process was not there. 5 months later, that technology is now there. But that contains an NFC tag that has a unique identifier that is linked to a prepaid card that was issued by Barclays, and we did 2 versions of that, an angry large bug and a small bug. So that was a payment instrument. And then it was, okay, well, as I say, we don't want Daisy Load to have experienced those crazy tills like item in bagging area. So what does the payment terminal look like? And I'll just show you an example very quickly. I'll show you the demonstration in a minute with my colleagues. That's the payment terminal. That's a NFC to Bluetooth gateway. So when you tap that terminal, that's associated with a particular item, and it knows the price of the item. When you tap that terminal, it transfers the identity in the ring and the identity of that terminal to what we're calling a virtual terminal, and that's where the CA product comes in. We will use the CA product to implement the virtual terminal. So those were the elements of the solution that you saw there. So now I will give you a demonstration with my yeah, so we did these are supermodels. So pretend I'm okay, maybe not. I'm Daisy Lowe, the one you saw with the coat. Now if I just tap that, there you go, that just lit up. That just made a payment. Now, at the show, we only allowed the celebs to buy one item. So each one of these rings was associated with one celeb. That's why I've had to just change a ring now to show you purchasing the other item. There you go. And that's it. It was as simple as that.
So the lights didn't fire, but something happened.
Yes, for some reason the lights didn't fire. Maybe because... Did that go through, Chris?
No.
Oh dear.
Try again.
Maybe it's got...
It happened on the night. Obviously this is a more demanding audience.
Absolutely.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay,
I think it's because the laptop went to sleep.
Yeah.
So let's do that one as well. So we also connected the light. We also connected, once we'd made the payment, we connected the whole infrastructure to the lighting rig around the show, so the lights change blue. There you go. So that's effectively our demonstration. Very, very simple. It's been received tremendously well in the press. It's been on Great Morning Britain, it's been in the Mail, it's been in the Telegraph, it's been in T3. We're actually quite stunned by how well the media have received it. And actually what you've just seen there and what we've seen on Saturday was a world first. It's the first time these set of technologies, NFC, Bluetooth Smart, and a virtual terminal have all come together to deliver this kind of shopping experience. Now I'll hand over to Chris.
Give it the blue steel again. So you may be wondering what the hell has APIs got to do with all this lot, which was my initial reaction when I got involved in the project and volunteered my services to help Ranjiva write a little bit of the architecture. But actually, APIs were essential in bridging the gap between the catwalk and the payments world. So if I start from the top, in order to provide this seamless shopping experience, we created an API to effectively manage the linkages between all our data. So the rings and the identity of the rings, the readers, and to which product those readers were assigned. All the cards are stored in an API, and the actual point of transaction. So when one of these readers issues a payment instruction across the network, it's bridged via our API. So nothing fancy. It was a fairly straightforward Python-based Flask application with a bunch of endpoints in it that kind of made sense for the use case that we had. We designed it specifically around making sure we were bridging that gap between the catwalk and our payment infrastructure. So there you go. API number one, one of our own building. It's worth also stating that the API playground was crucial in getting this product built, because it gave us an environment where we could work with all the different collaborators that took part in this project. As you can imagine, this wasn't just the product of Ranjiva and I. There was development teams elsewhere that were involved in this, and without our playground and then being able to discover the APIs we were writing and what they needed to integrate with, it would have made the job a lot more difficult. We were able to give them a realistic environment. So that's API number one. API number two was Stripe, oddly enough. So we used Stripe in order to actually send the payment instruction. In order that the scenario was realistic, we integrated with Henry Holland, or the House of Holland's payments provider, payment API, which is Stripe. So there's API number two. That was a critical thing in actually making the payment. So once we'd resolved which device hit which reader, which card was buying which product, and we could then create a payment instruction, fling it at the Stripe API, get a response back. Now, in order to protect ourselves from mishap on the catwalk, and Stripe being unavailable, what have you, we actually drove a wedge in our architecture. So we had this catwalk-facing synchronous world where the APIs was guaranteed to make a timely response when a payment instruction was sent, and when we pushed off the payment instruction into an asynchronous world using Redis and Celery in order to orchestrate throwing the lights, sending the payment instruction. So anyway, Stripe, API number two. API number three was hosted alongside the what we call the order manager, and that's a API we wrote over DMX. Now DMX is the protocol that made this thing move. Okay, it's a protocol that's been around about 20 years. It's very popular in lighting. It's bulletproof. It's also not something that is kind of run-of-the-mill. Integrating with DMX is not impossible, but it involves some jumps from a regular software development stack into the DMX world. So in order to provide a nice interface into the DMX world, one of our guys who had done DMX before wrote a nice Node.js Express API over the top of it. So that simplified the development process, simplified the experience for me. It was me that did the order manager. So when I called the DMX controller, I just said, do this on channel 1, and it took care of everything else. It was all hidden behind an API. So in terms of the experience for me, it actually made my life a lot more simple, because the guy with the knowledge about DMX provided a nice interface for me to interact with. So there we go. Three in our world of high fashion. actually APIs were very important to making the show a success. So that's all I've got to say. Any questions, anybody? Yeah.
What about order placement? So how did the order actually, because you talked, sorry.
Well, I'm happy that I got to be part of that, and I think we can all agree I was the star of that demo. So unless we have any other questions, I think that's it for the demo space. There is still about, I guess, 20 or 25 minutes left for the day. If you want to join the other track, feel free to. I want to thank all of the presenters today, including our great demonstrators, as well as you for sitting through, and I hope it was valuable for you. Thank you.